forsaken. I know it's you that's leading the way. You are my shield and my strength when what's ahead makes no sense. I know it's you that's leading the way. It's an adventure. This is a crazy ride. You're breaking the fences, bringing my heart to life. It's a forever. I'm following you all the way. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's a wild, wild life with you. There's no hesitation, no doubt in my mind. You saved me from safe, I am brave in your light. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's wild. God, take my heart, command it. I live a life abandoned. Lord, send me, guide me, show me the way. It's an adventure. This is a crazy ride. You're breaking the fences, bringing my heart to life. It's a forever. I'm following you all the way. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's a wild, wild life with you. There's no hesitation, no doubt in my mind. You saved me from safe, I am brave in your light. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's wild. It's wild. It's wild. It's an adventure. This is a crazy ride. You're breaking the fences, bringing my heart to life. It's a forever. I'm following you all the way. It's a wild, wild life with you. Life with you. It's a wild, wild life with you. There's no hesitation, no doubt in my mind. You save me from safe, I am brave in your light. It's a wild, wild life with you. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
You're the first, you're the alpha, maker of the earth. By your word, you created life out of the dirt. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. God of glory, you are wonderful, wonderful. Christ the mighty King of all the universe. You are holy, you are powerful, powerful. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. God of all the earth. Lift our praises to the God of all, God of all, God of all the earth. All the sea, all the land shows your glory, tells of who you are. It's the love of the Maker, shaping who we are. Because you hold the world inside of your hands, you can move mountains at your command. You hold
for me.
I'm invited to the table. You are saving me a seat. In your house I know I'm worthy, 'cause you died for me. You set me free.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home.
I'm so thankful for your kindness. Your forgiveness when I'm weak. With open arms I am accepted. As you run to me, you cover me. I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you, you alone.
No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. I'll forever run toward the one who calls me home. Everything I'm longing for is in you, you alone. No matter where I run, grace will follow. The Father's love is all I know. I never need to doubt that you want me. You are standing here saying welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home. You are standing here saying welcome home.
Happy Easter, everyone. We hope you're having an excellent morning this morning.
Oh, Ricky.
I'm a dad, so it's allowed.
You can tell. Welcome to church at home from wherever you're tuning in. We're so excited that you're here.
We're very excited.
Because it's Easter.
It is Easter.
Yay!
Happy Easter,
Happy
Tree.
Easter, Ricky. Now, because you're my only friend, I thought I'd get you a present.
I love presents.
And I know you love hot cross buns, so there you go.
It's a combo move.
This is our social
Thank you.
distancing gift giving.
I know you love gifts.
I do.
And I know you love chocolate.
I do.
I didn't get you eggs, but this is probably even more excellent.
I agree. Thank you, Ricky. I actually love Toblerone the most.
Yeah, everyone does.
I know. Hey, we want to see what you got for Easter. We want to see pics of your Easter setup,
Yeah.
don't we?
Your
Have
cool
you got
bunny ears.
Bunny ears.
Yeah, make sure they're excellent.
Yep. We want to see all that you've got going on, so make sure you post your pics so we
Yeah.
can have a look.
Yeah. Now this week we launched Operation Easter Bunny.
Yes.
We threw it out to you guys on socials to nominate people in the community that could do with an early visit from the Easter Bunny.
Yes.
Now we are connected.
We've got friends in high places.
Yeah. The nominations came pouring in, which was very encouraging, and we were able to bless 4 families.
It's been amazing, and look, they were received so beautifully, and I just wanted to read something that was sent through from one of those families. Hi, I don't know whose idea the Easter egg hunt was, but I wanted to say a huge thank you. The kids were so astonished by the eggs and the amount of them that they didn't know what to do. They said it was the best day ever, and it made us really happy to see that. Today's surprise really came at the right moment and created lovely memories in the midst of all that's going on. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So good. It's so good
I
hearing
love it.
those stories.
So thanks to the Easter Bunny for making
Yeah.
a special early visit. It's pretty awesome.
Very kind of him. And we want to keep hearing those good news stories. So keep
do.
sending them, all the ones about church at home.
That's right. If you know someone who's connecting to church for the first time because of tuning in at church at home, we want to know those stories because it blesses us to read them and it blesses the church, the wider church, to see the impact that we're having even in a time like this, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you keep sending those through.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about Easter.
This is what I love about
It's all
Easter
about
too.
celebration and joy and how good our God is. And I love that.
Yeah.
And hey, if you want to spread some love.
Yeah. Keep the encouragements.
Exactly.
Operation Easter Bunny may be finished, but encouraging people is not. It's
Exactly.
just beginning. So keep spreading the joy. Fill out the encouragement form.
Yep.
And we'll make sure that gets out.
And hey, we've got a prayer form as well. You know, just like the prayer cards that we had at church. If something great is going on in your world, please, we'd love to pray alongside with you. And if you're needing help with something, we'd love to pray alongside you with that as well. It's just nice to know that someone is in your corner praying for you. So fill in the prayer form as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing, this one's really excellent.
I'm so excited.
Alpha Online.
Yes.
So this is going to be via Zoom
Yep.
on Monday nights.
It's going to be amazing. It's free now. It's going to be because
It's
we don't have to
free.
cater for you. You have to bring your own food, so we can't charge you for that. So it's no better time to do Alpha, right?
Yeah.
And what is Alpha, Ricky?
Well, if you want to know anything about Jesus, you have any questions about the faith, this is a great platform for you to ask them and have discussions about it.
Yeah,
so
it's
really
amazing.
cool. And it's really good for you to bring out a friend and get them to sign up.
Exactly. It's an amazing way to explore faith. And there's no better time to do it because you're doing it via Zoom. So Zoom.
Zoom. It's a new platform.
So pants are optional. It's a win.
Pants are optional. As long as you use the camera right.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be getting up for a break in the middle of those Zoom calls. Hey, speaking of optional pants, not at all. Not actually in any way. If you want to know what's going on at church, what's happening around, because there's so much happening.
There's a lot.
Make sure you subscribe to Church News and we'll send you all the details,
Yeah.
everything that's going
Every
on.
Friday.
Every
You'll find
Friday.
out the deets.
Exactly. And hey, church, today of all days just has made me appreciate so much what Jesus has done for us. Let's not forget that we love the Easter eggs and we love the hot cross buns, but this is about the gift that God has given us. And I just want to read this verse. For this is how much God loved the world. He gave us his one and only unique Son as a gift. So now everyone who believes in him will never perish, but experience everlasting life. And today that means so much more than ever that our God gave us the ultimate gift. He gave us everything. We didn't deserve it, and we could never have earned that, but he chose to give that to us because he desperately wanted a relationship with us. And so that reminds me today that that gift represents how we are to love like he does. So he loved us with a complete sacrificial love. He loved us with everything that he had. And today, we're reminded that our generosity is a way that we can love God back. Our generosity is a way that we can mimic him and try and live the way that he lived. He gave radically because he loved radically. So today, church, can we give radically today and follow the example of our amazing God? I've been so blessed to hear that more and more people have been giving online. People who are new to giving online have joined the party, and it's just been amazing to see.
Yeah.
But can I just encourage you to continue to do that? Let's be generous, church, the way that our God is generous.
Join the giving party.
Yeah, a bit of that.
Next we're going to hear from Marcy, and she's going to continue our series on No Greater Love.
Yep.
This is going to be really good. I'm really excited for this.
I love Marcy. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
And there is no way today that we cannot worship with absolutely everything that we've got, right?
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that we've got to work off all the chocolate that we have consumed.
Yeah.
It is a day to be truly thankful to our God.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah.
It's time to
Let's
worship.
sing together.
Welcome everybody from wherever you are sitting or standing today. He is risen. He is risen indeed. Come on, let's worship our God together.
I close my eyes and colors fly. There's no hiding from your grace. I can't deny your heart for mine and its unrelenting chase. I was on the edge of deception, caught up in my own hesitation.
someone has been raised to life by Jesus today, come on, won't you lift your voice and join us in worshiping Him? I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my turn till I met you. And I was breathing but not alive. Oh, my failures I tried to hide. It was my turn till I met you. Then you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Come on, let's sing of His mercy together. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The only you, Jesus, when I met you, and you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Come on, if you're thankful this morning, let's get those hands together. Sing, I needed rescue. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I was an orphan, but you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future. My eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. Hey, hey. But I will give all my thanks to you, Lord, for you make everything right in the end. I will sing my highest praise to the God of the highest place. And Lord, today proves that you make everything right in the end. And so we sing with a thankful and a grateful heart to that beautiful name of Jesus. You are the word at the beginning, one with God the Lord Most High. a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is, and nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus. Oh. He
Happy Easter Gateway, brought to you from our beautiful courtyard here at 107. I see all of you out there with your hot cross buns and your Easter eggs. I've got mine, a couple of my favourites. This is my Lindt Gold Bunny, hazelnut flavour, very nice, but you really can't go by the absolute classic small Cadbury Easter egg. I'm sure you've got your favourites too. It's a bit sad, but we had 15 people ready to be baptised on Easter morning today at Gateway. But I know that there's going to be an enormous celebration when we eventually get the opportunity to baptise all those people. So hang in for that one. I missed you all so much. I know we all miss one another as well. Easter morning, we should be hugging one another. We should be saying, Christ is risen, and replying, He is risen indeed. That's what we do on Easter morning. So I'm going to give you 3 seconds to say that to the people that you're with. Well done. Did you ever wonder where that tradition came from? Saying Christ is risen, He is risen indeed. It's actually one of the oldest traditions of the Christian church. And I think it's the greatest cry of hope that humanity has ever heard. Christ is risen. The Apostle Paul says in one of his letters that if what we believe about the resurrection is not true, then we should all pack up, go home and just live in despair because nothing matters anymore. But the early church did not live in despair. They greeted each other with, He is risen, every time they saw each other. It was their way of saying, because of what we have witnessed, we know that everything is going to be okay. This is the last of our weeks on the book of Mark. So let's read some of the verses in Mark of the resurrection story. This is coming from Mark 16. On the first day of the week, as the Sabbath was ending, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jacob, and Salome made their way to the tomb. It was very early in the morning as the first streaks of light were beginning to be seen in the sky. They'd purchased aromatic embalming spices so they might anoint his body, and they'd been asking one another, who can roll away the heavy stone for us from the entrance of the tomb? But when they arrived, they discovered that the very large stone that had sealed the tomb was already rolled away. And as they stepped into the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right, dressed in a long white robe. The women were startled and amazed, but the angel said to them, "Don't be afraid. I know that you're here looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He isn't here. He has risen victoriously. Look, see the place where they laid him. Run and tell his disciples, even Peter, that he is risen. He has gone ahead of you into Galilee, and you will see him there, just like he told you." They staggered out of the tomb, awestruck, with their minds swirling. They ran to tell the disciples, but they were so afraid and deep in wonder, they said nothing to anyone on the way. What an incredible turnaround. 2 days ago, Easter, Friday, Good Friday, all hope was gone. The disciples had watched their Lord being crucified on the cross, and they crept home through the dark streets and just hid away in their own homes for fear of the Romans. Then something happened. Something that turned these scared, defeated boys and girls into bold, courageous men and women on a mission to tell the world that God's rescue mission for humanity had begun and everything was going to be okay. And they gave their lives to the joy of spreading that message, quite literally. That something that happened was the resurrection of Jesus, and it was totally absolutely unexpected. They weren't looking for it. They weren't willing themselves to believe it. In fact, the first witnesses took a lot of convincing. But after that first Easter, the writings of the New Testament, when they talk about the future, they don't talk about life after death. They talk about resurrection. The Gospel eyewitness accounts are very clear that the resurrection of Christ was not just some ghostly spiritual thing, but a bodily resurrection. Now, the accounts in the New Testament don't talk about him in a mythological way, like shining like a star, or they don't talk about sort of putting their hands through the image of Christ like he was, like Casper the Friendly Ghost, if you're old enough to remember who that was. But what people saw was a real person. Remember, one of the women who saw him thought he was actually the gardener. And then we have the story of the guys that were walking back to Emmaus, and the risen Christ just came and walked with them, and they just thought he was one of the guys. He asks for food and he eats it. He challenges Thomas to actually touch him. He was risen in his physical body, and yet there was something new, something miraculous about him. The stories talk about him appearing and disappearing out of a room with locked doors in a way that no earthly body can. So Jesus has been resurrected, but it's a new kind of body. Paul calls him the first fruit. Now, what comes after the first fruit? Well, logically, the second fruit, the third fruit, the fourth fruit. He is showing us what is going to be in our future. We will be fruit like him. He is himself, but he has been remade, recreated, renewed. Can you imagine yourself being remade, recreated, renewed? Now, let's imagine if the stories that we have of Jesus in the Gospels, if they'd talked about him appearing as a ghost, some sort of spiritual being. We might be saying now that our future beyond this life is going to be in some ghostly dimension that's outside of this world. But no, Jesus is alive, fully, physically, but in a whole new way. This is a foretaste for us of a whole new future, a whole new creation, a new version of the world that we live in now. Our future won't be somewhere in the clouds. It will be here, in this world that God created and said was very good, but it will be restored to the Maker's original design. You know, there's lots of scriptures that talk about this. And you can look these up later, they'll be on the screen, but there's 1 Corinthians 15:20, 1 Corinthians 15:51 to 55, Philippians 3:20 to 21. Those who love to study the scripture can have a look at those later. But I want to read one from Romans 8. And it's talking about, Paul is talking about the future, and he says this: "To this day we are aware of the universal agony and groaning of creation, as if it were in the contractions of labour for childbirth." And it's not just creation. We who have already experienced the first fruits of the Spirit also inwardly groan as we passionately long to experience our full status as God's sons and daughters, including our physical bodies being transformed. For this is the hope of salvation. Paul is talking about this incredible hope we have, and he's saying that creation itself can't wait to be renewed, just like our physical bodies will be. And then there's those beloved verses in Revelations 21, where the Apostle John has this imagining or this vision of what the end times will be like. And he said, Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the old heaven and the old earth had disappeared, and the sea was also gone, and I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, "Look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them, and they will be his people. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there'll be no more death, or sorrow, or crying, or pain. All these things are gone forever." And the one sitting on the throne said, "Look, I am making everything new." What we have here is not a vision of ransomed souls making their way to a disembodied heaven somewhere, but rather the new Jerusalem coming down, uniting earth and heaven in an eternal embrace. You know, there's very little in the Bible about going to heaven when you die, but there is a lot of talk in the New Testament about the kingdom of God. And when Jesus spoke about the kingdom, it was not about us escaping from this world, but about God's rule coming to this earth as it is done in heaven. And he didn't talk about it coming in the distant future. He said he was bringing it to earth now. You know, heaven in the Bible is regularly not a future destiny, but the other hidden dimension of our ordinary life, the God dimension. In Celtic theology, and we're talking way back in the earliest days of the Christian church, they had a concept of what they called thin places. They were places where heaven and earth felt very close together. The Jewish people felt that about their temple. They felt it was a thin place, a place where heaven and earth were close together. If you're into sci-fi movies, there are so many movies that sort of talk about this concept of there being these two realities that are very, very close, that you can almost step from one into the other. I don't know what that looks like. It's a mystery. But it's an amazing thing to think about. And it's a whole new worldview. And when we grasp this truth, it changes everything. And here is what I believe. We are not surviving in this material world with the hope that we will one day go to a better spiritual world. We are looking at this world, knowing that God will one day restore it to the way it is meant to be. And that means that even though we live with evil and with disappointment and with pain and sorrow now, it will not last. God will bring it to an end. He is Lord. He has shown us himself what will be, and we will be like him. That fills me with so much hope. So, what is going to happen in our futures? This is a really important question to me at the moment, because there are people precious to me in my world who are facing the end of this phase of their life. But I am so at peace when I think about their future. And the Bible is like a signpost pointing into the mist. We don't really know. But studying the scriptures, we could talk about life after death. Maybe we leave this earth and we spend time in the presence, the beautiful presence of God, as we wait for this new creation to happen. John 14:2, very well-known verse, when Jesus says, in my Father's house there are many rooms, or many dwelling places. That word, the Greek word menai, the way that the Greeks used that word was as a place that was a temporary halt on a journey that will take you somewhere else, almost like a motel room. And that is the word that Jesus uses there. So think about this. We, as believers in Christ in this present life, are a mere shadow of our future self. The self that we will be when the body which God has waiting for us is brought out and put on over this present one. You know, this moment, 2020, in the middle of this period of isolation all over the world, this moment in history, it gives us a vivid foretaste of what Christians believe about our eternal futures. Let me explain what I mean by that. If you're like me, we are all dreaming about what life is going to be like at the end of this isolation time, and we're looking forward to what the new normal is going to look like. Some say that we might be more connected to our families because we've spent so much time re-establishing relationships. Some say that because many normal people have experienced job loss and hardship through no fault of their own, that we might come out of this as a more compassionate society. Some say that we might slow down a bit because we've rediscovered the joy of stopping to smell the roses and we don't want to go back to that crazy, busy life. Some say there might be more cooperation between political parties, but I think that could be going a bit too far. But the reality will probably not be like that because we are dreaming through rose-coloured glasses. But the resurrection of Christ tells me that God's plan for our future, the one that we dream of, will be everything that Christ followers imagine it will be, and that future will be drenched in love because that's who God is. Let me finish with a quote from one of my favourite authors, N.T. Wright, and he says this: "Love is not our duty, it's our destiny. It is the language Jesus spoke, so we are called to speak it so we can talk with him. It is the food they eat in the new world, so we must acquire the taste for it here and now. It is the music God has written for all his creatures to sing, and we are called to learn it and practice it now, so as to be ready when the conductor brings down the baton and starts the real symphony." There's still a question in my mind, and that's, if we believe in the new creation, how then should we live now? And next week I want to continue that. But we're going to hear Hannah and Bess singing a beautiful song called Remember. Some of the words: "Oh my soul, remember who you're talking to. The only one who death bows to, that's the God who walks with you. Oh my soul, you know that if you did it then, he can do it all again. His power can still raise the dead. Don't tell me that he's finished yet. He is risen. He is risen indeed, and everything is going to be okay."
How quickly we forget the God who lives in every day. How easy to lose sight that you reside in the mundane. How quickly we forget the power that's running through our veins, the kind of power that empties grace. And oh my soul, remember who you're talking to. The only one who death bows to. That's the God who walks with you. And oh my soul, you know that forget the voice that's holding back the waves. Was once the voice that told the skies to pour them into place. Let us join the endless song of everlasting praise, the only God who empties graves. Oh, my soul, remember who you're talking to. The only one who death bows to. That's the God who walks with you. And oh, my soul, you know that if he did it then, he can do it all again. His power can still raise the dead. And don't tell me that he's finished yet. Break through these chains. If your word made the mountains, it can move them all the same. If death fell before you and it's still on its face, and the power that raised you is about to move again. If you broke through the oceans, you can break through these chains. If your word made the mountains, it can move them all the same. If death fell before you and it's still on its face, then the power that raised you is about to move again. It's about to move again. And oh, my soul, remember who you're talking to. The only one who death the God who walks with you. Oh, and oh, my soul, you know that if he did it then, and he can do it all again. His power can still raise the dead. And don't tell me that he's finished yet. Soul, his power can still raise the dead. And don't tell me that he's finished yet.
What a morning, Tree.
It's been amazing.
I feel so full.
That's probably the chocolate though.
Yeah, good point. I love the message of hope and restoration and God using all things for good.
Yeah.
And you know what, Tree?
What?
He is not finished yet.
That is the best news, isn't it? And maybe that is something that you need to hear today, that he is still in control, that he is still a good God, and that he is so far from doing his best work in your life yet. And that is why we have hope and joy, especially in this season and especially today.
Yeah. If you want to know more, or if you want to connect further with us, click the link. We'd love to connect with you.
Exactly. It's just been such a great morning, hasn't it, Ricky?
Oh,
I love Easter. Can we have it every week?
It's been joyful.
Can we do Easter just all the time?
Well, I don't mind getting a six-pack.
Yeah. I'd probably get a bit of this happening if we did Easter every day. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll take it to the authorities.
Have an excellent day.
Yeah. And make sure you go and enjoy your families, enjoy all your chocolate, and just remember the amazing sacrifice that our God made for us today.
And we'll see you at 10 a.m. for Church at Home next week.
Can't wait.
See you then.